Hi, Eric Stoddart. I would just like to ask possibly Douglas directly, but also interested in the rest of the panel, particularly maybe Paul. Are there any sort of key steps in the complaints process that the industry either consistently delivers a good or a sort of poor customer experience? Just to sort of get your experience on that.
I think the difficulty for firms, which has perhaps maybe come from FCA activity, etc., is firms being keen to ensure that their processes are right, but forgetting that they should be geared around the customer. So it's gearing things towards what's the best approach for the firm and forgetting the customer. And I think that's an area that banks have struggled with. I think as well, staff taking responsibility. I think another area is that customers can be pushed from pillar to post if you've not got a model that's first point of contact resolution. So that can cause difficulties as well. I think without a doubt there is a keenness within firms now, particularly focusing on the culture and changing the way that staff think about things, and obviously that's more than just complaints that have driven that approach as well.
Mm-hmm. Just adding to that really, if you look at the entire complaints journey mapped out from that first point of contact, that first ownership, if you like, from the organisation, all the way through to the way in which the complaint is handled, to the back end of it and the outcomes that you see around trust, around caring, around fairness, around the net promoter scores, and are you likely to purchase again or recommend. What's interesting about it is, certainly in the research we've done, is it follows a very similar path throughout the journey. Now, clearly there are firms who do that very well and at the top quartile, and others that are down the bottom. But if you like, that super snake that goes across it has a consistent pattern to it. And two things I would say. One, the area that seems to drop down the most, so you're starting off well and you drop down, is this ability to continue to manage the customer expectations in a way that they require management, if you like. So the feedback we got almost universally was that people have problems at that point. Customers have problems at that point in actually getting a consistent understanding from the bank. So it's a point one. And then I guess point two, it depends on the channel that we're coming in. And this is very much picking up to Douglas's point. What we found is that branch and the digital channels were those that delivered the best customer experiences per se. Where we started to see a marked fall down in customer experience was through the written channel, particularly when you start to go into iterations of customer discussion. And in many respects, that's down to the processes and the training that different firms have, particularly around the written channel. And I guess the challenge for us all is to try and work out how we sometimes move away from the written channel and take the customers onto another channel to optimise satisfaction.
Could I perhaps pick up on, because Eric, your question was about what the banks do well and less well. So could I perhaps ask sort of Sally and Carol to give more of a cross-industry view, because one of the things I'm quite interested in is actually how do banks compare, or banks and financial services compare with other industries? Obviously, if you read the papers, you'll think that banks are awful at this. But actually, is that really true? I mean, are there some areas that banks do very well in compared to other industries? Are there other things in terms of dealing with complaints or learning from complaints that banks do badly? I don't know, perhaps Sally, can I come to you first and then Carol? Or?
Well, I think maybe it's more probably Carol.
I'm happy to answer that. And certainly, when you look at the Institute of Customer Service conducts something, I think they conduct a survey of about 26,000 people, and twice a year. And it's interesting to see the banks come out around the middle in relation to the results. And this is about customer service overall, not just how well complaints have been handled. So right down at the bottom, you've got the public services. And obviously the public services, if you asked individual public services, such as GPs, for example, very often satisfaction rates are extremely high. But if you ask people, generally about public services, about local government or central government, they come out very low down. And I think this is because of the complexity of them. But what we have is the retail sector right up at the top, because John Lewis and the like are extremely good at responding quickly to people and sorting out complaints. I know I had a complaint at one point about John Lewis, and it was sorted out within about 10 minutes, you know, of going online. But, you know, but the banks were coming somewhere in the middle in relation to that particular index.
Okay.